So we're going to do our first lesson for the golf unit, and we're going to break the golf skills and the golf swing down into 3 separate pieces. So the first piece is going to be the grip. So you're going to determine the club that you're going to use, which everyone in our class is using a 9-iron, and because it is the easiest club to hit. Okay, and so with a golf club, the higher the number, the bigger the angle, which means the ball is going to come off the club face and go higher in the air. With that much loft on the club, it's easier for you to make good contact. So that's why we're using that club. So part 1 of the golf swing is the grip. So you can take your non-dominant hand. So for me, it's my left. I'm going to shake hands with the golf club with the toe pointed straight up in the air. The grip of the club is sitting in my hand across the bottom pad of my fingers. Okay, across. So it's a little bit above the bottom pad on my index finger and slightly below on my pinky. I just close my hand around the grip. You'll notice that my thumb is slightly to the right side, okay, if I put the club out in front of me. So now I'm going to bring the club straight up in the air. I'm going to interlock or overlap the index finger of my non-dominant hand with the dominant pinky finger. That's an interlocking grip. This one would be an overlapping grip. Okay. Then I will close my hands, encapsulating my non-dominant thumb in the palm or the V of the palm of my dominant hand. Now the club is sitting in the pads of my fingers. My index finger and my thumb on my dominant hand are going to kiss and make a little trigger. So that is the grip. So once again, shake hands. My non-dominant hand, the grip sits across the bottom pad of my fingers. Close my hand. Interlock or overlap the index finger with the pinky of my dominant hand. That's an interlocking grip. This is overlapping. Club sits in the pads of my fingers. Trigger finger with your index finger and your thumb, they're lightly touching or kissing. Okay, so that's part 1 of today's lesson, which is gripping the club properly. This is the only way that you can get your hands to work together. A baseball or a softball swing is going to cause a disconnection, cause your wrist to flop one way or the other. It's going to produce a lot of inconsistency. You don't see any golfers that are very successful grip it any other way other than overlapping or interlocking. Okay, so part 2 of the lesson is addressing the golf ball. So I'm going to get these ones back here so you can get a better video. So I get my grip first. I make sure I do it exactly the way I want to. I'm going to put the club exactly behind the ball, right where I want the club to return to. Then I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to move my feet about shoulder width apart. I'm going to take my waist and I'm going to bend at the waist slightly, like I'm looking over the edge of a building. But I don't want to fall over the edge of the building, so I got to keep my weight pretty evenly distributed. So I'm looking over. So again, grip, put the club exactly behind the ball, shoulder width apart, slight lean forward. And that's called the address position. If you notice, the ball is kind of in a line with a logo that might be in my shirt if it was on this side of my on this side of my shirt. So instead of being over here, it would be over here. So I want that ball kind of lined up there. Now I'm ready for part 3 of today's lesson, which is the actual swing itself. So after I've gone over the grip and I've set myself up with a good grip and I've addressed the ball properly, there's a couple things that you need to focus on when you do your golf swing and actually try to hit the ball. The first one is when you go to take the club away and you're doing what's called the backswing, you don't want your lead arm or your non-dominant arm to bend. As you take the club away, you want that arm to stay straight. That's going to help you to return the club face to the ball in the exact spot that you addressed it. So you don't want to be doing this. It's really tough to get the club back on the ball properly when you bend that front lead or non-dominant arm. So non-dominant arm stays straight. When you push the club away, you want to turn your hands and set the club. And you do that by pretending you have a watch on if you don't already have a watch on. So when I get my hands to about the 9 o'clock position, so they start at 6, my head would be midnight. When I get up to about 9 o'clock, I should be able to read my wristwatch. Okay? I don't want to bring the club back out here. I can't see my wristwatch now. I can't tell what time it is. Okay? And then when I go to want to hit it, I let the club fall and I'm sweeping. And so the swing goes shoulder to shoulder. Straight left arm, shoulder to shoulder. And the last key that we've been telling kids, and this is one that really helps them, is don't move your head. In other words, when you take the club back, don't let your head go backwards. When the club starts to go up to your back shoulder, don't pick your body up. Keep your head steady and on the ball the entire time. All right, so after I set my ball up, if I was practicing, I want to get ideal conditions so it can have success. I want the ball to sit up nice and tall on the grass, almost like it's on a tee. I take my grip. I like the overlap. I dress the ball about shoulder width. Ball's lined up with my logo. Slight bend to my waist. I'm going to push. I'm going to turn so I can see my wristwatch. Keep my head still. Make contact with the ball. One more. Hopefully I'll catch it a little cleaner this time. That one wasn't bad, but it could have been better. Get my grip. Club behind the ball. Line up my logo. Head stay still. A little better shot. Okay. Good.